Hello everyone, good day to you all. Year 2020 has been one of the greatest years in humankind, not from positive or negative front, but in terms of knowing value of what we have and what we should be thankful for. We are at a fag end of 2020. There has been a lot many things that we observed, we learned and we adopted. We are still here. We are thankful for that, and every one of us has done something very different from what we used to do before. Let me take the positive side of what happened in 2020. A year where a pandemic rose and millions of people got affected, and unfortunately a lot of them died too. We are still resilient, we are here, and people have adopted to what they used to hype called the new normal. I would not call it as a new normal. It is the way in which we are evolving. How do we do that? How did we do that? And what kind of lessons we should take? What kind of trends we should take to the coming year 2021 in a very positive way is what I would love to share with all of you. And it's been my observations and perceptions. And there are a lot of brilliant minds in the world which has analyzed the situation, which has come back with various types of trends. So this is from my own point of view as a fellow traveler in this year and in this life. Let's take some of the key lessons that we learned this year. Till we crossed February of 2020, we thought it's not a pandemic, it's just some kind of a viral fever that is going on, and automatically when the spring opens up, we are going to be all right. Seldom we knew that everyone had to take steps, irrespective of what nations we belong to, whether we are in most advanced nation or we are in third world countries or we are in evolving nations. Every one of us had to humper down and then be, with our families without having to do what we normally do. The whole world started working remotely, and the whole world started collaborating remotely. And guess what? There were great positive things. The air travel reduced by over 90% in the coming months after March. The vehicular traffic in the world reduced, but businesses continued. Though there are a lot of retail businesses which had to close down, or a lot of people lost their livelihoods, but still people are resilient. As a human, we will conquer this, and we are able to get to the next level by knowing these lessons. Some positive things I saw which gladdened me is one, ability for people to work remotely at 100% level. Though work from home has been a concept that has been tried out in the last 2-3 decades, and it accelerated due to internet and other technology enablers. 100% of people working remotely has been one of the greatest achievements that I can take, and it is a transformation, I would say. And with this, we are able to go and plan our future in a more sustainable way. Less of carbon footprint. People can work anywhere they are in as efficiently, if not a little bit less stressed. I think a lot of our colleagues started working from home for the first time. So a lot of students had to start learning remotely without a classroom presence. A lot of teachers who had to adapt to the new technologies that are required to propagate knowledge. All of this happened in a way that surprised most of us, which is the most important part. People started talking about digital transformation as a concept from mid-2000s, and it started accelerating. But a lot of inertia was there in terms of how people adapted towards how digital is transforming, right? Digital is not just about converting a manual process into a computerized process. That's just a tactical step towards a digital movement, not a transformation. It is about delivering the businesses, delivering services, completely using the digital tools is where the digital transformation was supposed to be. Till 2020, it was happening in bits and pieces. Leaders were always leading this, and there was a chasm between leaders and the followers. And there were a lot of people who were totally inactive in this front, thinking that whatever they were doing as part of how they delivered their business was always going to continue. That stopped. This has given great opportunities for businesses to rethink, not just in terms of computerizing or digitizing their existing services, workflows, and others, to how to change the behavior of a consumer who is consuming their products or services. There has been several sad demises of retail businesses which went bankrupt because they never even thought that footfall to a brick and mortar store is going to end in the level that happened in the first few months of this epidemic. Everyone started relying upon self-service. Everyone started relying upon third-party supply chains. Everyone started relying upon getting information and options through digital means, and not through a call center, not through a face-to-face interaction with a relationship manager in a banking world or insurance world. All this changed in just a click of a button, and that has started our great journey. Today, the way in which a consumer is being engaged is changing to completely personalizing their experience rather than sending them a huge amount of spams, huge amount of information that may not be relevant to everyone. A huge effort has been put in to start getting into personalized journeys of an individual customer and an individual business. And this is one of the greatest things that happened this year. Till 2019, as Resulticks, when we went and tried to sell a platform that revolutionized customer journeys, people are still thinking that huge amount of components were face-to-face and brick and mortar. Today, the same people who actually look at it from a very different lens. And that is the change that we are going to take forward in 2021 onwards. And it's not going to end in 2021. This lesson will have an indelible mark on humankind in terms of how these businesses are to be done in the future years. Big airlines today have thought about various things, including journey to nowhere, right? People just take a trip just to feel the ability to fly. People have converted A380 into restaurants, and hotels and airlines started catering to people. Did you imagine all of this in 2019 end? No, it happened now. So the business models that are evolving will be very digital centric, and being innovative as human beings, we are going to develop new sort of ways of how do we actually create new services, new products, and how do we deliver them completely through digital means. So ability to create this combined with the journeys are going to be the cornerstone of leaders and cornerstone of new generation of businesses that are going to come in. That is going to change the way in which the legacy businesses are going to continue. I had a wonderful experience working with a bank in India where you had 40% of people who relied upon the brick and mortar branch channels. All old people went to the bank not just because they didn't know the technology, it was simply a pastime for them. They were able to spend some time outside of their homes and have a human contact. And suddenly, the whole epidemic has changed the equation. A lot of them were left into lurch. We found that a lot of old people had fixed deposits or term deposits in a bank, and since branches were closed, they were not even being able to renew them physically. So this bank came out with an excellent idea, which had not an IVR related call. That means I have to call in and then I have to press several buttons before I could get to an option that I'm looking for. Rather, it originated a message to people, whoever had a registered mobile, with a voice which says, hey, you have a deposit with us, and this is the ending 4-digit numbers of the deposit. We don't have an instruction. Press 1 if you want to renew this. Press 2 if you want somebody to call you back so that you can consummate that. Or 3, you just don't want to take any action today. 4, call back tomorrow. This was taken up, the engagement rate was over 90%. And then everyone appreciated this. This is one small method in which a company or a bank could change the behavior of a customer. The same way, now everyone is now very adaptable to ordering food on e-commerce, groceries on e-commerce, buying things on e-commerce, buying services on e-commerce. All movie theaters went, silent for this past 8-9 months. Guess what? The movies didn't stop. It came to OTT platforms. Music didn't stop. It came to all the different channels which allowed music to be streamed. So creativity never ceased. We had concerts which were virtual, which happened between people at different stages. So this is where I take the strength, and clearly, in my opinion, we should bring in products which are not going to be in the beaten path. It is going to be revolutionary. It is going to be unique. They are going to tailor things that we are going to get our consumers and our businesses to consume in a way that was not done before. So ability to create this requires a very sustained way of thinking business first, thinking digital first, thinking about consumers as individuals and not demographies, not segments. Every individual that you're servicing should be recognized to the persona that they belong to, and then you personalize the content, offers, and also the ability for them to consume it in a way that's a win-win situation. This is where I think the businesses will be thriving in the coming years. So take stock of what you have been doing, what kind of services and products you're offering, what channel on which a customer is being engaged and customer is able to take the right set of content and offers and consummate that offer is where you should start. You should think through this long and hard. In terms of technology, there has been a lot of movement where one had to really change some of the ways your own staff had to work. Our colleagues work from remote, right? So did you think that all of you had a broadband? Did anyone think that all of them had a secure access to the networks which was otherwise accessed through desktops? Did you think that there is an ability for you to control how information is being disseminated to every one of your colleagues in a secure fashion? There has been a lot of business continuity plans, but none of them address the enormity of the situation as in 2020. Every one of the BCP or business continuity plan was tested to its core, which is a very good tick mark, which also exposed a lot of vulnerabilities in terms of security. How do you expose data relating to a customer, expose data relating to a process that is dear to your business or an IP was tested to its fullest strength? One thing that I had observed in many companies where there has been a lot of investment on data warehousing, where they kind of moving towards having a massive infrastructure where they were not just storing data warehouse kind of a data, but also unstructured data and data relating to multiple facets of an organization. They called it data lake, and a lot of them were in the process of moving there. But then they had to really literally understand the customers and really understand how do you engage the customers in a time where you no longer had any other channels. And that's where concepts like customer data platforms, customer orchestration, and journeys became a cornerstone. So one may have multiple questions relating to, how do I actually leverage the data as an organization? It's not in one day a Rome was built. It takes sustained effort, but it cannot be on a planning stage for years together. So facing 2021, I would urge all the technocrats to really look at, do you know your customers? If you really know your customers, what kind of information that you do not have today, can we get that information at all? Will it help you and your customer? And create a journey in terms of how you will map this and start building this jigsaw. As I said, don't try to do too much of work in terms of thinking about how to bring all the data together and plan for that. You start creating a jigsaw puzzle. Start moving to the corners. Then you start getting more and more of the data. And in a while, you will get your entire customer base active. And in no time, you will be able to engage them. Whether they buy your services or not, there will be a huge amount of benefit for your customers and yourself in terms of having right set of data so that you know exactly who to target to, how you will target, whether I can assess somebody rather than trying to have a method of following everyone and then try to use the breadcrumbs for something else. It cannot be like that. We have to use the data about a customer, about their activities in such a way that it results in a win-win situation for both you and your customers or prospects. The key for this is threefold. The first one is the data about a customer. Ability for you to bring the data alive is the first part of it. Second part of it is not just by bringing data you are going to win. You have to create certain views, certain prescriptions, certain support for hypothesis of whether this data can be used, whether the manner in which you are using is correct, whether the outcome to your customer is as appropriate and it is welcomed, or the customer does not care. That's the second part of it. Ability to have an insight and test hypotheses. Third part is where the fancy term like AI and ML comes into place. A lot of people don't understand, if you don't have data, you cannot create something new. It's not fake faces that AI creates with ease, right? Even today, AI derives a lot from internet. And I don't know whether you know about experiments that happens, face recognition uses enormous amount of training data from YouTube, for example. So nothing happens in a thin air. It happens with a plan, it happens with the training set, and it happens with people who want to see patterns. And I think these three layers will help you in terms of knowing how well you know your customers, how well the customers receive your services and product, how do you actually bring the product or services to your customers, and ultimately will they move from a journey where you start from a prospect stage, we make them into a suspect, we make them into a customer, and we make them into advocates. And I think this is where we need to have a very clear understanding of how to map this, and not everyone will need to have every type of data about a person. It is to demystify them, distill them into actionable insights, actionable data, and ability to experiment with them so that they are given the best of what can be from your business. I guess I had given you enough of my thought process, so I would love to share more and love to listen to you in terms of what do you think of 2020, and do you agree with me? Do you have anything more that you could provide us so we can learn it together? Remember, we are fellow travelers in a journey that never ends. Thank you for your time, and I hope I was able to give you some of my thought process which is useful to you. Thank you again.